Welcome back to another episode of Lush Life No Labels, a podcast where I talk about the struggles and joys of self improvement, anywhere from relationships, career, wellness, and more. I'm Fatu. Joining me this week is my special guest, Kim Costa. Kim is a sought after, top producing real estate agent, author, and keynote speaker with over 30 years of experience empowering unique individuals to live their best lives. She is the author of the upcoming book, Live in Your Wheelhouse, an empowering guide to stay, go, or renew. Kim's transformative consulting has helped hundreds of homeowners navigate the complexities of identifying their priorities and aligning those priorities with the characteristics of the perfect home to achieve maximum joy and potential. As host of American Dream TV, she shares inspiring stories of reinvention, resilience, and the powerful connection between our inner world and our outer space. Kim, it's great to have you on today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yes, this is going to be a really great topic that many people can relate to.
Mm.
Before we jump into our main discussion, I'd like to share a story of the week that will help us transition into our main discussion. The story of the week this week actually is about one of my coworkers. One of my coworkers bought a house earlier this year and it needed a lot of renovations. For example, the roof needed to be redone and some of the other key infrastructure as well. She expressed frustration because the people who were supposed to fix it, they said everything would be done in April. So she and her partner couldn't stay at the house for the most part during all of these renovations. They house sat for friends, they stayed in hotels, and overall it was pretty frustrating because the renovations took longer than April.
Mm.
But when it was finally completed, she was very relieved because turns out she's a homebody and was very unhappy when she couldn't just go home after work or just stay home during the weekends. So she was very happy that she could finally settle into her new home without having someone come in to fix something.
Mm.
She did say also that now she and her partner have time to think about the furniture that they're going to actually put into this new house. They need to think about how they're going to decorate the house, especially since her partner loves to host and so they want to get prepared for that. And so one thing she said that I found very interesting was that the work is never finished.
Mm.
And I found that to be interesting because most of the time when people talk about homes, they talk about the home buying process and fixing any issues that are there, but they don't often talk about the actual living inside the home.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. As a matter of fact, there is a statistic. I think it's from clever.com, if I'm correct. It's a study, and it said in 2023 and 2024, 82% of all home buyers had major regrets about their home purchase. And the number one thing was the amount of maintenance the home required and the things they needed to fix that they did not know about.
Wow, that's a very large percentage of people.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very large amount of people. Of that 82%, 12% just didn't like the home at all, which is huge. That's like 6 million people for those 2 years that don't even like the home that they're currently living in. So it sounds like your friend loves her home, which is wonderful.
Mhm.
It also sounds like perhaps she's a more introverted and her partner is more extroverted, which happens all the time.
That's
And
right.
yeah. And so hopefully they both have space in the home to be themselves where he can throw a party and entertain and then she also has a quiet space to read or relax or, meditate, whatever it is she does to decompress. Hopefully they both have space in the home now that they're in it that they can be themselves.
Yes, for sure. And that's one of the things that they are trying to figure out essentially is where do my things go and where do yours go?
Mm-hmm.
And even the process of picking out the type of furniture that they both want, or what's going to be best if we end up hosting someone. And it really reminded me of the work that you do around finding that alignment in the home that you live in and making your home work for you, and
Mhm.
making sure that you're very comfortable in the home, especially as you said, with their different personalities. How do they both make sure that they are completely comfortable in this home?
Right. And sometimes it's not about being completely comfortable, like 100% comfortable, because there may be a certain night where 20 people or whatever, 10 people are coming over, and she's been working all day and she's kind of tired, and so she's going to make a compromise for her partner to enjoy the company and friends and do her best to have some quiet conversations, one-on-one with people, which many introverts really enjoy. But then to see the joy on her partner's face, laughing with a group of people and knowing that she sees who he is and celebrates that, and then also offers some grace in the
Mhm.
home to allow him enjoyment. And then in turn, he might draw a bath for her, the next night, and light some candles and just give her some space to decompress. Introverts don't dislike people. They, in fact, love a deep conversation, a lot of times one on one with people. And a large group may drain her, but that's where he finds energy. And as long as they understand that about each other and allow space for that in their home and their partnership, things go much better.
Yes, for sure. And that's certainly one of the fun parts of also living with a partner, in
Hmm.
that you can find that common ground that makes both people comfortable and both people happy in the home. And that actually brings me to one of my first questions for you around the work that you do. Kim, can you explain to the listener what is the wheelhouse method?
Okay, great. It is a method it's built like a house on the infogram that represents the process. There's a bottom floor, which is the foundation of the house, similar to a basement. And if that's off, just similar to the foundation of a home, if it's leaning one way or leaking or cracked, it's going to show up in the rest of the house in the upper levels. So the bottom level starts with your foundation. It's the 4 M's. It's myself. Who are you? How you were made? What's your personality? What are your values? What do you enjoy? What brings you comfort? So recognizing that about yourself. And then the next step is mastery. And that is, what gift do you have and have you mastered it? What mission do you apply it to? That's the third M. And mates are, who do you surround yourself and who do you let in your home? Once that's all cemented, you go up to the second level, and that's the wheel of life. The potential homeowner asks questions in 8 different areas of the wheel of life, according to the guided questions from the process. And those 8 areas are: what do you do for fun? Romance, career, finance, family and friends, spirituality, health, environment. So those are all 8 of them. It's a wheel shaped pie chart. You're going to grade each one of those areas from 1 to 10. And if something in your lifestyle is off, like for example, you have 2 people working at home, but there's no office,
Mhm.
career might be at a 3 out of 10. You don't want a flat tire for your wheel. So you're trying to increase in your living environment it to support each of those areas.
That's great. Thank you for that overview. And
Sure.
it's a very unique way of looking at our lives, but it also includes, as you said, all of those different parts of our lives.
Mhm.
Kim, what inspired you to merge real estate, psychology, and purpose into the wheelhouse method?
About 25 years of making mistakes. So live and learn. I will not say I've not had a lovely life, a charmed life, but there have been some serious lessons along the way that were both painful, physically, mentally, and financially. They always say the person you're going to help is the person you once were. And I never really examined as much as I should have what was right for me and what lifestyle was right for me. I just did what everyone else was doing,
Mhm.
or what my partner wanted to do and what was good for my kids, which is lovely and admirable. But at some, I broke my back in the wrong hobby. I was riding horses and broke my back, and I was doing it because everyone else was doing it.
Mhm.
And that was a painful lesson. And I was an accountant for 25 years because that's I had started it for a family business. I was helping my family, by doing it. Very admirable. But
Hmm.
I was never meant to be an accountant. And once I became a realtor, my income tripled. I don't have headaches in my left side of my brain anymore. I had some very painful lessons. And I find joy in seeing people's potential and in homes' potential and matching those up and seeing people enjoy themselves and avoid pain. Don't make those mistakes that I made. So that was my motivation. And I'm a writer. I'm not supposed to be an accountant. I'm supposed to be a writer. And so that was my vehicle to get this framework out to everybody.
That's great. And as you said, it's admirable to want to help others and make certain decisions based on what would make the family happy
Hmm.
or your kids happy. I love what you said around the person we're also trying to help is like our old version or the other
Right.
us,
Hmm.
which I find so interesting because often on this podcast, I talk a lot about self improvement and it's not a straight line, right? Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down.
Hmm.
That's just how life is, and we go through all of these struggles in life. The hope would be that we come out on the other side feeling
Hmm.
better about ourselves. People talk about your inner child
Mm.
and healing your inner child, and I think, you know what? The me from 2 years ago is not the me from today, but I'm pretty happy about the me from today because she has improved on some of those things that I was really struggling with 2
Mm.
years ago. We don't always know where we're going, but I
Hmm.
think trying to follow what could make us happy, that's a huge thing. I think a lot of us tend to follow societal norms,
Hmm.
knowing that we're unhappy, but then we don't know how do we actually make that change to become that person who would make us happy.
That's right. And it's a leap of faith when you make change too, because
Mhm.
you think, well, I mean, things are okay right now. I've got 5, 6, 7s out of tens in most everything. Like nothing's awful, but
Mhm.
I do feel like something's missing. And so, what could my life look like if I did this, this, and that?
Mhm.
It's a matter of taking some risk, and sometimes things work out and sometimes they don't, but you learn something and you kind of learn, well, what not to do sometimes
Yes.
and it's okay to make mistakes. It is okay to make mistakes. I don't know anyone ever who has gone through life without making any mistakes. It's what they do afterwards and the
Mhm.
knowledge that they take. I've taken accounting knowledge with me from all those years that has been invaluable in my current position. Every experience will build up your life resume for the future as long as you reflect on it. And then, similar to this, you have a guide and a structure to making the most aligned decisions going in the future based on the knowledge of mistakes from the past.
That's right. I love the
Hmm.
way that you put that because none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
Mistakes are just a part of life.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's really looking at those mistakes and saying, okay, here's what I've learned. And then you need to decide whether you're going to ultimately learn from it or,
Hmm.
sometimes we do repeat the same
We,
mistakes. It takes
it's
us,
human nature.
exactly. Sometimes it takes a long time to
Oh, I've done
finally
this 10
decide,
times now.
exactly, finally decide, oh, never mind. Let me stop doing this thing or let me change
I think
this.
this is a pattern.
Yes, definitely.
I I can raise my hand to that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, Kim, can you share an example of perhaps maybe in a client's life when they realized that their living environment was holding them back?
Mm.
Like, was there a moment that triggered the change for them?
Sure. Yes. So I'm going to, and I always change my names and a little bit of the circumstances just to protect people's privacy. So they're all true stories, but just tweaked a little bit so people don't feel like I'm exposing their personal details.
Of
But
course.
in this case, I'll use an example of a young couple. Or actually, a young man. They were getting married, and actually, the young lady had moved in with him, and they were living in a condo. And now they're married with 2 kids in the suburbs.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we knew that their life was about to change, and at the time, it was kind of in, like, the nightlifey part of the area, and they were gonna have a child and getting married and everything, so we knew that that was not the place that they wanted to have this baby, and so I just kind of coached them like, "Well, what does it look like? Do you wanna be in a subdivision, eventually good schools?" In that case, they could have stayed there for a year or 2, and they had 1 extra bedroom, but it was involving bringing groceries in an elevator and nightlife noise and a little bit of crime in the area.
Mhm.
And when you're about to have babies, your priorities change and you become more family oriented. And all of a sudden, easy access to the restaurant next door isn't as important as where can I walk my baby?
Yeah.
Right? Safely. So we just kind of went through exactly what they were looking for. and found them a beautiful home north of Atlanta with a basement for his hobbies, a
Mhm.
nice waterfall in the back. It was a
Wow.
beautiful yard for the child to play in. Mom was a worker as well, so it was close to her parents who could provide daycare for the children. Lovely. So we just said, okay, total lifestyle change. What's going to matter in the next 5 years? Let's go around the wheel of life and let's match up as much as we can because nothing's perfect. Of course, go through finances as well. He was a financial person, as was she. So they were real smart with their money. They made a real good decision. And now they have 2 dogs and 2 kids.
Wow.
So,
That's great.
yeah.
As you said, they had a lifestyle change
Yeah.
and so many different life milestones that were coming up as well. And I find that when we're at those cusps of life, I mean,
Mm.
I'm not married, I don't have kids yet,
Yeah.
but even I have friends who are married and having children, and so they've had to make those decisions. I find that there sometimes can be some of those fears or hesitations.
Mm.
So, in your work, what are some of our most common fears or hesitations that people express
Mm.
when they consider changing their living situation?
Well, finance is always a big one. Even my older after midlife clients who have accumulated some wealth, they need to look at possibly living another 30 years or 40 years. So even though they could afford a large home, I just had someone move and then the taxes went up by triple and it was not disclosed by the county. We figured out all the finances, but then the county changed something and it cost them $40,000 extra that they had
Wow.
not counted on. Now, thankfully, the county reconsidered because they kind of surprised everybody with this school tax that they invented. And so they thankfully, I mean, I prayed on that one hard for them.
Yeah.
So finance is
Wow.
always a big one. Finance is
Mhm.
always big. Careers, pretty big. Whether you're retiring, I like to cook. So there's the work triangle in the kitchen is the refrigerator where all
Mhm.
your food is stored beside your pantry, your sink, and your stove. And so
Mhm.
you want that to be as small as possible.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. When I help people look for a house, I call it the wheel of life triangle, and it's whatever 3 things they do the most. For a young adult career, so you might even work at home, but then you really have to have a space in your home that becomes the piece of that triangle, right?
Yes.
Maybe
Mhm.
you like to go to the gym 7 days a week. So that shouldn't be 15 miles away. What's another one? I mean, people have places of worship, an activity that they like to do outside of the house, whether it's hiking or they like to go to restaurants and nightlife or whatever. Whatever 3 things are most important and prioritized, they kind
Mhm.
of need to pick on this wheel of life what's most important to them. We weigh those answers heaviest.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
different for everybody.
Yeah,
hmm
that certainly makes a lot of sense, and I do move around
Yeah,
my city a lot, and I've moved continents, I've moved states, so
I
I've
love
moved
it.
a lot in my life. In my recent move, exactly as you were saying, I was thinking about, okay, I go to the gym pretty often.
hmm
How far is that gonna be? Especially it gets really cold in the winter. If it's too far,
Right,
less likely to go to the gym, which then would impact my lifestyle in general, or
right.
as far as the grocery store. Luckily, my
hmm
gym and my grocery store are right next door. So those are
Yes,
very, very close. It's a sort of a two-in-one deal.
that's great.
But I love that you said that because that's certainly something that whether you have a house or an apartment or whatever it is,
hmm
yeah, we should definitely be considering how far anything is or what our environment even is. Like you said, if you work from
Yeah.
home, maybe having a dedicated space desk away from where your bed
hmm
is better because if it's too close, then you want to take a nap in the middle of the day. Um,
Right. Or vice
so
versa, you're trying to go to sleep, but you see the report you didn't finish out of
yeah,
the
and
corner of your eye.
yeah, now you're
It's
up
like,
all night
oh.
thinking about that. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I agree, and I do think sometimes we don't think about all of those things when we move. We just think, okay, let me just move, let me get there, put my things down, and then I'll figure it out
Yeah.
afterwards.
And it's like, oh, people my age are living there. I see people
Mhm,
like me. And so I feel like it's going to be fine and that's what everyone's doing. But I think, just even little things like is there enough sunlight? Like does sunlight affect you adversely if you're not getting enough sunlight? Like on which side of the building you want to be on? I had a townhome when I became single again and it was very dark on the main floor and it was a
mhm,
little like depressing. And so when I went to pick my next place to live, I wanted it to be temporary and light. And I picked the side of the building for this luxury condo or apartments that I was living in where the sun rose. So every morning, that sunlight would come right through my window.
Mhm.
And I would open those blinds early in the morning and just sit with my coffee like, "Oh, this is so nice." And it
That's
seems
beautiful.
such a little thing, but it brought me joy because I had lived in a dark place that was
Mhm.
kinda it was kinda just it didn't get any direct sunlight, and it affected my seasonal affective disorder, sort of.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I knew when I moved, like, I want a view.
Yes, yes, we are similar in that way. I love the morning sunlight,
Mhm,
especially now up here, the sun goes down, it's already down. The sun goes down pretty early and is up as well pretty early. So I love the sunlight
mhm,
aspect of things, and that's definitely something that impacts me. And if I lived somewhere that did not have that,
mhm.
I don't think I would be very happy to be at home
Right,
in that.
right. It does, affect a lot of things, especially in the mornings, they say, your health for your
Mhm.
health. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so even if you don't own, you do have choices as far as what building you're going to live in, what area you're going to live in, what floor you're going to live on. Are you going to overlook the pool and have a lot of activity to watch, or are you going to have the quiet sunrise or sunset, or some kind of nature view? So I work with people all day long, so I chose not to overlook the pool because I
Mhm.
needed some quiet. And so it's
Oh,
about it's about balance as well. It's not that I don't like people, but I do talk all day with
mhm.
folks, and then I need my quiet time to process everything. So I knew that going in.
Of course.
Mhm.
So you actually just kind of answered one of the questions I had around if there's ever been a time where redoing the home environment didn't lead to growth or satisfaction. I know you just talked about living in a townhome where it was dark on the
Mhm.
first floor, but what lessons would you say came out of that for you that you apply to the work that you do with your clients?
I know that I looked at that place as a temporary space to
Mm.
help my son. My daughter was in college, and to help my son at the time finish high school, I needed to stay in the school district. And
Mhm.
I did not want to maintain a large home. So it was like, I will be in this home for at least 2 years. And so it was safe, it was gated, it was, all the things that I was looking for. And so that was a temporary decision for me. And then I knew from there I was pretty much free to live wherever I wanted to live. And so I picked another temporary place, which was the luxury apartment. It was so much fun to I went to the restaurant. It was a Thai place the other night that
Mhm.
I said, I think that's my bedroom right above this restaurant. And that was so much fun. My personality is an ENFP, which is extroverted, intuitive, feeling, and perceptive. And we're
Mhm.
like we like novelty. Um,
Okay.
yep, we like novelty. We're half introvert, half extrovert. So we like
Mhm.
a little bit of quiet time too. So that's that first chapter, that myself, knowing myself. Like, now I know that I shouldn't be on a 40-acre farm maintaining the same thing every day, that I need variety.
Yes.
And so that's how I live now.
I love that. Yeah,
Mhm.
and as you said, right, there's certain lessons that you learn from going from one place to another and really looking at who am I?
Mhm.
Because ultimately where I live should reflect who I am,
Yes.
in that way as well. So for someone who is struggling with one or more areas of their life, for example, you mentioned before finances is one of the key fears or relationships. How do you recommend they begin applying the wheelhouse framework without getting overwhelmed?
Well, I think, so the wheelhouse framework can be taken what we call pillar or chapter by chapter. So
Mhm.
area by area. So if you know that you're struggling with relationships right now, a primary relationship, and that would be the romance section, or
Mhm.
even family and friends, because both areas apply to that. You could look at those questions, and then there's resources on my website that point to, oh, like if you're having a romantic situation, I think I've read every book there is on that. So I have like great resources for what you might be experiencing at the time and what I found helpful at the time, because I'm a generalist. So I might be able to help you pinpoint a pain that you're having right now and give you some information to fix it, especially in regards to an environment. But then finding resources of other experts that can walk you through the process that millions of other people have gone through, and they say this is normal. what is happening is normal. These are your options. These are your resources, and help you make an informed decision on how to fix that. But it's
Mhm.
really pushing the pause button and investigating that and just taking small actions to try to help you fix whatever the issue is.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And I want to get back to something you said earlier around the types of clients that you have. And you mentioned, for example, people who are retiring.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I've often read and heard when people are retiring, let's say, or even let's say you have children and then they move out and go to college, is downsizing.
Hmm.
Now you want to think about, well, we don't need all of this space. Let's move on to the next place. Let's say they've lived there for 30 years.
Hmm.
They're very emotionally attached and physically with all of their things to the home.
Yeah.
So, how do you support your clients who are emotionally attached to their current home, even if it may not be aligned with their future goals?
I know many people still attached to their homes, and sometimes it's just not time for them to move yet. And if financially
Mm.
they can stay there, I'm not opposed to that. And I actually have a good client friend who just bought a bigger home because she wants all her grandkids to come back. Like she
Mhm.
wants bunk rooms, and so she upsized. So I'm like, that's cool. If that's important to you, let's do it. Let's go find that home. Let's put a pool in. This will be your resort for the family to come back to. That works for her. That is her mission in life, to have her family close by her. I'm more power to you. However, if somebody is in a position where financially they need to start downsizing, or health wise, just spoke to someone the other day, they can't keep care of their 8 acres anymore. It's just like literally their knees hurt. They've had 4 hand operations and they just can't physically do it anymore. I just listen, and then I ask, well, what do you think you want to do? And maybe you need to start thinking about your options and what is your timeline? Like, let's start talking about it, because it may not be next month, but
Mhm.
you may have a timeline in 2 years. And let's just keep revisiting this conversation. Like, where do you want to go? Well, maybe the beach, maybe the mountains. Have you visited? You should go visit. Don't just do it, right? Go investigate and then see if you like how you feel in that lifestyle and what housing is available. And let's talk about what the next move looks like for you. Maybe it looks like moving downtown to a townhome, something smaller, but with a couple of guest rooms where people can come back.
Mhm.
And it's not as much of a, you can pocket the investment you've gotten in your larger home and put that into your retirement accounts, and then just live an easier lifestyle without so much maintenance and financial output. So,
Yeah.
but they have to be ready.
They have to be ready. That's
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
'cause I mean, I know, some people may really be hesitant, right? Or they'll go back and forth
Yes.
on, "Oh, I thought I wanted to do this, but now that we're actually in the process and we're talking about it or
Yeah.
we're looking at different homes, now I'm not really sure if
Yeah.
I'm ready to take the."
I'm not liking anything I see. And
Yeah.
on the converse, I've seen folks wait too long, health wise,
Mhm.
financially. Like, we're just gonna we need to stay here, this is our home, but financially it's over their head. Some of the questions in the book I would never dare ask anybody personally. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
really?
Yeah, some of the questions about financial, about health, about
Oh.
romantic partners and things like that,
Mhm.
even though I get very close with my clients, they're like, there's boundaries there. However, I can feel some tension, around certain things. And like, I'm like, something's wrong. I can't put my
Yeah.
finger on it. Somebody doesn't like something, but they're probably not going to talk to me about it. But the
Mhm.
book's like, is this, is this going on? Is that going on? Like, is this something you need to consider? I mean,
Mhm.
one of the questions is even, is there anyone in your house or in your community that you're afraid of? You know?
Oh,
And so
yeah.
that's like way down on Maslow's hierarchy. Safety,
Yeah.
right? Are you unsafe in your home or in your community? Could be a dog next door. Is there anything making you feel unsafe? And that's part of environment. There's many questions in the book that I probably wouldn't ask somebody, but it's part of making the decision about the home. It could be finances, like, yeah, wow, things are really tight and my spouse is stressed because he feels the burden of this, and
Mhm.
we need to move somewhere to de-stress him.
Yeah, and I think it's great that, as you said, right, some of those questions are very personal and
Mhm.
people may not feel comfortable necessarily sharing it with you directly, but I
Mhm.
think it's great that it's included in the book because as you read it, you can personally think about your answer to those things, and
Right.
it can be personal, a self thing that only you know, and then it can help them make those decisions.
Right.
Many self-improvement narratives focus on creating better habits, improving productivity, or other external achievements,
Mhm.
your approach integrates personal environment and alignment with that.
Mhm.
And sometimes I think that's often overlooked.
Mm.
But why do you think that's important for us to think about as well, outside of just habits and productivity?
Well, I think, your home is a representation of you, and it should also support you. So if you're going out into the world and trying to do certain things, but you're walking back into your home and there's this uneasy feeling like, oh, this is frustrating, like this certain aspect is frustrating, you're focused on that and not what you're trying to do outside of the home. So it should be your home base where it supports every aspect of your life. Maybe not perfectly, but it's not a barrier to success. I mean, a highway next door or a barking dog that doesn't let you sleep is going to have an impact on your career,
Of course.
or your family life.
Mhm,
And you want to invite people over because, there's noise and you can't go out in the backyard and all those things. So it's eliminating barriers to being successful in each area of your life. And that starts in your home. And my book is really about your home as representation of yourself
mhm,
and maximizing all those areas, because a home that supports you in each of those areas then lets you enjoy each area that in your life.
of course.
Mm.
Yeah, and I mean, that just goes back to the wheel, right?
Mhm.
Is that you number and you rate your life on that,
Mhm.
and it really helps you see, because I think sometimes we don't think about every single one of those aspects individually. We just think generally, "Oh, am I happy today? Am I feeling good today?
Mhm.
Great." Or am I just feeling okay today? But we may not know, why am I just feeling okay?
Yeah.
What is not up here that's making me just okay versus great? So
Right.
I think it's great to parse out each of those parts individually,
Yeah. Right, you
just
can
to look
just
at
read one chapter at a time. Like if
Mhm,
you're, I'm focused on my health right now. And so I bought a little walking pad, that I can, if I'm working, I can just get a 10-minute walk in, or if I'm on a Zoom call, I can walk
mhm,
for the hour. It's just kind of like, okay, I need to focus on my health. I've focused on my career and writing and all this stuff, but I need to get back to my health. So now I've
mhm,
pinpointed that. So I'm listening to health podcasts and people for, women my age, all those podcasters. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good point. And I need to buy organic and I need to take these supplements and get on my walking pad and start doing weights. And I'm focused on health right now, but next year it might be spirituality or something like that.
mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely, and you actually sort of answered a question I had. You are very accomplished, and there's also a lot of work that you do on a day-to-day basis with your clients. For example, you were saying that, you meet with people all the time,
Hmm.
regarding the work that you do, and you're a speaker as well, you're a writer. How do you handle burnout or
Mm.
self-doubt in your own life?
I think I had more self doubt when I was an accountant than I do
Mm,
now. Because
interesting.
I was like, my head hurts, I don't know
Too
if
many
I'm good.
numbers,
I don't
especially
know if
during
I'm
tax
good at
season.
this, but I did it. My head hurts, but I did it. So, really, especially now that I'm writing and doing real estate, it's like, okay, this is my wheelhouse. I'm definitely working in my strengths. Real estate was crazy the first part of the 2020s. It was extremely busy. It was
Mhm,
24/7. That's why I'm focused on health now, because I am taking the walks in nature again. I am doing yoga. I am walking instead of sitting and writing contracts all day, and also writing using the right hand side of my brain and doing a little more introverted creative work. So it's just kind of about balance, because for a couple of years there, it was 7 days a week, 24/7 contracts negotiation at 11:30 at night on
oof,
Easter, on Christmas. So I did set some parameters. I'm turning 60. I cannot
mhm,
keep this up without it
mhm,
affecting my health. And so it did. My cortisol levels were super high. And so it was like, okay, I've got a flat tire. Now I need to work double hard in the health area. I have a Zen den and I put my walking equipment in there. So I built a room in
mhm.
my home where I meditate. My cortisol's back down again. And so I had to do things in my own living environment and in my career to set some boundaries Unless it's an emergency, I am not going to be on the phone at 11 o'clock at night.
No, we don't want that.
No, I learned even at my age that I'm not invincible.
Mhm,
And if I allow burnout to happen, I'm not going to help anybody. I'll help 0 people if I'm
mhm.
crashed and burned. So instead of pushing 24/7, set some limits on that. And then I'm more present with the people that I'm helping, still a good amount of the time.
Mhm. That's a really great way to approach it, and it reminds me I travel a lot,
Hmm.
and they're always saying, "If there's an emergency, put your mask on first before
Hmm.
you help someone else, because if you pass out, then you're not gonna help yourself or anyone
Nobody.
else." Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I definitely agree, and it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning of the episode around it's important that, yes, we can be there for other people, but we definitely also need to remember to be there for ourselves as well and
Hmm.
put ourselves also up front
Right.
along with everyone else. We shouldn't keep ourselves in the back just to put everybody else in the front. So I definitely agree with that in terms of how to handle the burnout and also just make sure that we're taking care of ourselves on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So, Kim, if a listener wants to start the wheelhouse process
Hmm.
today,
Hmm.
but they don't have the resources to move or to renovate, what's one actionable step you'd suggest for them to begin aligning their space and their life?
I have on my website something called the Lifestyle Lift Assessment, where they
Mhm,
can take 10 minutes and walk through their home and look at the function of a room, the aesthetics of a room, and see if it's fulfilling something for them or if it's just wasted space and how that room's making them feel. And then you go around the 8 areas of the wheel of life. And for kitchen, obviously, it would be health and family and friends because you gather and you eat. So, is it fulfilling all those things? Do you have enough space? Do you have appropriate food? Is it healthy for you? And that kind of thing. So, you can kind of take the assessment or just do it on your own. Pick one room or one area and really just walk through your home and think about, is it fulfilling the highest potential for me and who I am and what I need? And so just one area, don't get overwhelmed. It might be the most painful. Like for me, it's health right now. I'm going to really focus on my health. So
mhm,
I have to think about what is hurting me and what will help me. If you make little changes over time, it's been proven to last longer and you don't get overwhelmed. So little
mhm,
things like putting do not disturb on at a certain time. And unless
mhm.
they're emergency contact or a family member on that list, no one's getting through. And I sleep better
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, you mentioned moving the phone away. That's
Yeah.
something I've started doing is putting my phone not right next to me, just
Yeah.
putting it somewhere a bit far away so I'm not reaching to it. I've been trying to get back into reading more, and one of
Hmm.
the things that's been helping is do not disturb and putting my phone on the other side
Yes.
of the room so that I am not gonna be incentivized to get up or just check it every 5 seconds. So, I definitely agree doing small things makes a big difference versus
Hmm.
trying to handle a huge project all at once.
Yes.
And so, Kim, as you continue to work with Lifestyle Foundations, what's your biggest hope for the next 5 to 10 years in terms of how you'd like to evolve your brand?
Oh, that's a great question. So, I would love to talk about this for at least the next decade and beyond. I would hope to just continue on. So, I don't have any intent to stop selling local real estate. I'd like to keep my hand in that, perhaps
Mhm,
not as busy as I have been, but instead take these frameworks and run workshops for folks who are thinking about life change or moving and then come up, go through the whole process step by step with them in a group and then help, and then I can refer them out to a local real estate agent who would then be the expert on, okay, this is what you're looking for, these things, these characteristics. I know exactly where we might be able to find that. So I would like to keep running people through the process to help them improve their lives and workshops, maybe some retreats, like somewhere fun where we can go and there's like a certain style of living.
mhm,
Charleston is a certain style and San Diego is a certain style and get a
mhm,
tour from a local, like this is how they live here. These are the things they do. I think people might enjoy that. But just really to keep talking about these frameworks. And I'm fascinated with people's stories and potential
mhm,
and helping them get through life circumstances. I'm the kind of person that I can talk about your divorce and I can talk about your widowhood and I can talk about you're just trying to make it like as a single gal in the workplace and things like
mhm.
that, like what's going to maximize your potential. So I would like to just work with as many people as possible and help them with my frameworks.
That's actually a great transition. Typically, I like to ask the audience something for them to think about or ponder on as they finish up the episode.
Hmm.
Is there one question that you'd like the listener to think about?
Hmm. I think it all starts with knowing who you are really at your core.
Hmm.
And even if you're in a friend group that does a certain thing, it's okay if you do things just a little bit differently. It adds variety. Don't get stuck for the next 25 or 30 years in something just because it's working for you now. It's okay. Don't be afraid to make some changes in your life that would better it for the next 25 or 30 years. I think that's the biggest thing is just don't feel like you're stuck because even though some people may be disappointed, you're not disappointing yourself.
Hmm. Thank you so much for coming on to today's episode to talk with us about living in our wheelhouses. For the audience, you can follow Kim more, and we'll have Kim's website and email in the episode description. But the website is also www.lifestylefoundations.com. And Kim, is there anything else that you'd like to plug or any other places you want the audience to check you out at?
If they want to follow along on the socials, I can be found everywhere as Kim E. Costa, my middle initial, Kim E. Costa. And then the book and the podcast are Live in Your Wheelhouse. Book is out in March, and the podcast just started 2 weeks ago. More episodes coming. I'll go through all the frameworks bit by bit on my podcast.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. And we'll have all of those links in the episode description so you can continue to keep up with Kim. For the listener, thanks for tuning into this podcast, Lush Life No Labels. Make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. Leave any comments as well. Cheers to your lush life and see you later. Bye bye.